What's going on YouTube? This is Metal Complex. Today I want to go over the severely underrated and severely under-discussed, in my opinion, Zero Tolerance 0095. This knife, once again, does not belong to me. It belongs to a coworker, one whose other knife has also been on my channel, the Paramilitary 2 I did a few episodes back. This is his, and he has lent it to me. I've been wanting to do a video on this. Now, he dropped this and broke the pocket clip off of it, and he also nicked up the edge pretty good, to the point where, let me see if I can zoom in on this. I'm not going to try and just drop this out. You can see it right there. I am not a professional sharpener. I don't want to mess with that. I'd rather him send it into ZT and get that fixed himself. So what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a two-part thing here. I'm going to go over it today a little bit, and then we'll go over it again when it gets back, so you can get a good idea of Zero Tolerance's warranty service and what it looks like and how it functions afterwards. So this, in my opinion, is one of ZT's most cut-friendly folding knives, and by that I mean one that is against ZT's general nature, actually cuts really well. I want to go over why that is the way that it is. First, let's go over some quick specs here. I believe these are about 8.4 inches overall. Very similar to the, I'd show this knife in every single video because this is the one that I carry. Very similar to the overall length of the Hinder XM18. Blade cutting edge is 3.6, or no, I'm sorry, it's not that much. It's about 3.5, or yeah, it's about 3.6 inches. So longer cutting edge and longer blade length overall than the Hinder XM18. Blade HQ lists it as weighing 5.2 ounces, but it certainly doesn't feel that heavy. It's really a pretty light design. I don't know if that's because of the balance or what, but they are full titanium scales. They've got some nice texturing here on the well, this contour. Well, it's slight contouring. It's more of a chamfering on the edges here, and everything's rounded off nicely. So the whole knife looks angular and sharp, but it's really not. All these edges here have been nicely rounded off, and it's very comfortable in hand. The design itself is an extremely ergonomic design that does feel the hand. You can see, again, I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but I do have large hands, so I appreciate a design that compensates for large hands and fits the palm out well. So I also like this kind of drawn back harpoon tip right here. It's a nice place to put your thumb. I would have liked to see some jimping here that maybe went up there, but some people may not find that as aesthetically appealing, and I think the way that they did this was to keep it, kind of a futuristic, modern design of a knife without aesthetically dirtying it up with jimping. I'm not really sure. Either way, it's a nice place to put your thumb. It does provide a little bit of security there when you're pushing down. Blade style, I don't know if I don't want to specifically call this sheep's foot or reverse tanto. It's some combination between the two, but it is probably, and there's going to be people out there that disagree with me, it is probably one of, if not the most utilitarian blade shape. And the reason being is because that drop there at the top provides a little bit of additional tip strength, while still keeping a fairly fine tip. In this knife's case, you end up with a very large cutting belly right here. And because of the thinness of the blade, see if I can compare here. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but we'll just look at them one at a time. You can see the XM18 at a .165 stock and the 0095 at a much thinner stock. I don't know the exact measurements on that, but because of where it starts to drop towards the cutting edge right here, and the overall height of the blade is taller than the XM, you can imagine how thin this edge gets down here. And with all that extra cutting edge and cutting belly, this makes for an excellent slicer, and we'll go over that demonstration after it gets back from ZT, so that I can properly demonstrate that without just saying trust me it cuts and then going over specs and stuff like that. So the design of the blade, definitely thumbs up from me. I love that. I think it looks really nice. This whole kind of swooping nature kind of starts here and then swoops up and comes back. I really like how that looks. It looks awesome. Some people aren't going to like it, but I do. Full titanium again, I think we went over that. It does have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. You can see there where Ricky busted the pocket clip, which really is one of my only negatives on this knife and ZTs in general. I don't like their pocket clips. That happens often. It's not really Ricky's fault. They get caught on stuff, and they've got, you know, this part right here where it broke is really thin, and it got caught on something and it just snapped, and that, you know, that happens, and it's too bad. A lot of times when I get a ZT, I end up spending, you know, 20 extra bucks on a titanium pocket clip on eBay or something, for that exact reason right there. But whatever, it'll get, you know, ZT's warranty takes care of that, and actually they'll just send you a pocket clip, so no big deal. But anyway, steel lock bar insert. Here's the really cool thing about this. Not only is it a pillar construction, open body, but look how many, I mean, look how few parts there are. You've got the pivot, you've got a screw on this side, one standoff, and you've got a screw on this side. That's awesome. I mean, just like if you want to take this front plate off, it's just unscrew here, pull the plate off, and then, sorry, it does run on bearings, by the way. This is a bearing flipper. But you pull that off, clean it out, and then put it back together. It's super easy. They're both Torx heads. So, I mean, that's great. Thumbs up to ZT for doing it that way. The body here, the engagement, let's see if we can get in here and take a look. If you can see that, the steel lock bar insert engages at about 100%, well, about 70% of the tang, but the entire steel lock bar insert is engaging. And I believe that's how it was when you got this, Ricky. The whole lock bar, it is engaging somewhere around 50 or 60%, which is fine. It's easy to disengage, but because this is a thin frame lock, you do have minimal space to get your thumb in here, though that part right there is raised to catch your thumb, so you still can do that. I will say, and I think this is a common complaint about this, when you close this, where you normally have to get your finger out of the way, this is where the blade wants to stop. That's where the D10 is catching it, right there, right? So you got to get your finger out of the way, get the lock bar to pass the D10, or I'm sorry, get the lock bar to pass the D10, and then get your finger out of the way and close it. So let me demonstrate that again. Here's where it's wanting to catch, right there, catches on the D10. You have to continue to push that lock bar over so it goes past the D10, then get your thumb out of the way and then close it. So not a super big deal. When you get used to the knife, you know, you'll be able to get around that. But anyways, this is an excellent EDC option. It is a large knife, and that's going to scare some people, but whatever. If you're looking for a lighter weight full titanium EDC option that is incredibly easy to deploy, very good at slicing and cutting, very utilitarian, still has a fairly thick tip, you know, for being a thin profile knife, this is a great option. And let me double this up, because I think a lot of people were hoping, or would want to see a knife like this in 20CV, M390, S110V. I think there actually is a version of this out there in S90V. I could be incorrect. But anyways, this is CPM S35VN, which I think is an excellent choice for this. And here's why. Because this is a thinner blade, or thinner stock, and you have a very thin cutting edge, I think we might see more trouble with the edge being more prone to chipping in the, you know, 20CV M390 or, you know, up to S90V or S110V steels. And with S35VN having added toughness versus those steels, yeah, you do lose you lose out in edge retention versus those steels, but certainly still, I mean, S35VN is notorious for holding a good edge. In fact, that's what those, as everybody knows, that's what those come in standard. But you're not, I mean, these aren't going to be nearly as prone to chipping or you know, flaking out or I mean, talk about the tip, you know, with that tip design, and still being thin, you're going to have some extra strength there. You're not nearly going to be nearly as likely to snap the tip, or chip out the edge. So I think that's great. And I mean, he dropped this directly on concrete, and that's all the more that it did. You know, so thumbs up for S35VN. Much easier to strop and sharpen and maintain the edge too, so that's great. I think all those things are great. I can't wait to demonstrate this thing's cutting ability. I feel like this is just an underappreciated design, and ZT fans are used to ZT putting out these, like the one I did yesterday, these big heavy-duty monster folders that are super thick and rugged, and that's great, and I love those. But when they release stuff like this, you hear a lot of people complaining like, oh man, you know, ZT is coming away from its roots, coming away from its roots, and not doing, you know, things the way that they traditionally do them. And there are a lot of people out there who are really into the performance of folding knives that I think would really enjoy this, but it just doesn't get the limelight that it deserves, or at least in my opinion. But yeah, so that's going to be about it for today, guys. I don't know when he'll have this back. It might be a week and a half or two, but when he does, I'll do another video on it, and I might even take it apart and show it on the inside. But I just really, really like this knife, and you know, if you're into this kind of thing and you're looking for a folder around this size, this weight, these dimensions, and you want something that performs well, this is a great one. So, Ricky, thank you again for letting me borrow this. And guys, if you are a part of the channel, again, I really appreciate you watching these videos and leaving likes and subscribing in general. And if you're new to the channel, again, I'm a new channel and I'm going to put out regular content. So if you like what you saw here today, check out my other stuff and subscribe. So again, guys, I really appreciate that, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.